The Russians have committed maybe the most brazen war crime since Bucha, literally releasing video of them striking a UN aid convoy. Just why is Putin dropping the mask and going full war criminal? I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. Let's talk about it. But first, remember, guys, check the link in the description because we're now a podcast on Spotify. And give us a follow and a rating if you appreciate it. Okay, so Russia is basically just going full mask off at this point, with Russian forces striking a hospital and a literal United Nations convoy in Ukraine. Now, I can't show you the footage here on the channel because it's, well, combat footage. But the insane part is that Russian forces, attacked a UN convoy that was delivering aid to frontline towns in Belozerka in the occupied southern region of Kherson. No casualties were reported, but the part that's kind of insane to me is that the Russians released video of this, and you can clearly see in the video. Let me see if I can find you a still from it, where the UN trucks clearly are like labeled right on the roof, big white trucks that say UN aid, right? So the fact that the Russians actually went and dropped this drone footage is insane, right? And yeah, here we go. Here's kind of a compilation that, right? So you can see here the drone pilot clearly sees World Food Program, and look, the big huge symbols on top that say UN. And clearly the Russians did not care. There's the same truck destroyed. But again, usually the Russians are try to cover up their war crimes. But now they're just bragging about it. And it's preposterous, right? And this happened, again, a few days before a meeting between Zelensky and President Trump in D.C. It's like Trump is proving a point. I think that's part of this, or excuse me, Putin is proving a point. And that is the fundamental idea that he says, I can do anything I want and I will not face consequences. I don't care, right? Because again, in war, accidents happen. The Russians are not known for being especially disciplined. But again, the Russian government that tightly controls its media chose to release footage of this strike. And so the only conclusion that we're kind of forced to is to say Putin, I think he's threatening people. I think the message he's trying to put out with this is to say to the world, I don't care about the UN, F the UN, F the West, F what you call war crimes. We are going to continue to do this, and no one's going to stop us. And the point is to degrade the globe's sense, the community of nations sense, that the UN is at all effective, that the UN is symbolic, it's impotent, that base power and base violence is the only real power in the international sphere. And the problem is Putin isn't wrong. And the issue is that he's so sure that he's not going to face consequences for doing this, that he's daring the UN to do something. And frankly, I think he's right. I think the UN will do fuck all. I think they're going to issue a strongly worded statement, and they're going to continue to put their head in the sand and continue to operate in this delusion that autocrats believe in human rights, right? Like a guy willing to push his own citizens, his own oligarchs, shove them out of windows, put him in jail on trumped up charges, diminish the rule of law in his own country. Why on earth would you think that a strongly worded condemnation from the UN is going to achieve anything, right? But the benefit to Russia for this is that if they create a belief in the international sphere, in the community of nations, that multilateral organizations are impotent to protect you, then what are your other options for protection? Your other options for protection are powerful nations. You have to become subordinate to powerful countries to protect you. You have to get under their umbrella at any cost. And so we've shown, right, that the U.S. has had a isolationist policy, that it doesn't really like the friends it has, and probably isn't all that interested in protecting them. And then you also have countries like China and Russia that say, listen, we do protect our friends to a fault. That is true of the Russians. The Russians have gone to bat militarily for Burkina Faso, for insurgents in Mali, for Belarus, the Caucasus, right? These countries are, and China is ramping up. China wants to have these kind of alliance, these kind of power projection abilities. And so and this messaging is actually pretty important for Putin, because he has this uncomfortable thing where people look at his allies. They say, wow, Belarus, the central, the Caucasus states, they go, those countries are pretty poor, Vladimir. Like, they look like they're not doing well. And Putin goes, yeah, I know, but look at the bright side. They're never going to get conquered by an adversary. Ignore the fact that no adversary has designs on Tajikistan. I'm sorry. But again, he wants you to say, don't worry about the fact they're poor. At least they're still free-ish under the Russian umbrella. And China wants to go a step further. China wants to say, listen, look at countries under our umbrella. They want to prove that you can be a thriving, economically strong country and still be under the Chinese umbrella. Right now, North Korea, not exactly a country people are clamoring to emigrate to. You also have like the military juntas in Burma or Myanmar is very Chinese affiliated. I think there's one other country, maybe Cambodia, that's strongly Chinese affiliated. But right now, then, there's a reason these countries don't have any friends on the international sphere. Not really. And this is all part of Putin's campaign to change that. Anyway, guys, that's all I had. Thank you so much to the Colonel tier members like AL90, James Porsche, Steve Moran, Doug Beck, William Alex, Henry Roussier, all of our Lieutenant tier members. We couldn't do it without you guys. Thanks. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.